What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. And today I want to give a shout out to blacksportsonline.com, my man Robert Littal. Like I said, man, this is a brother, man. He has probably one of the better sports websites for black men in the world. And those brothers over there, man, are putting in work every single day. I urge everybody to go support Black Sports Online, as you see it there. And just about an hour ago, Brother Littal published this particular article. And it's talking about this particular white guy by the name of Jason Peron, who owns a company called All-Star Pest. And he tells New Orleans Saints running back Alvin Kamara to go back to Africa. Now, let's talk about Alvin Kamara, right? And Alvin Kamara was born in the Atlanta, Georgia area and raised. And his mother is Liberian, and I'm assuming that his father's African American. But what we do know about Liberia is the only country in Africa that African Americans stayed and ruled until 1980 with the True Whig Party. So if there are any group of people in America that African Americans are very close to, they're Liberian people, right? Shout out to Roy de Jure. Americo-Liberians are called the Congo people. So, we have a close relationship, not only with Ghana, but the Liberian people. And most Liberians that grow up in America are down with the cause, right? They understand things like we understand it, right? So that's why Liberians and African Americans are so close. And Alvin Kamara, while he recognizes that he has a Liberian mother, he also understands that he's a black man in America, and he understands racism in America. And nobody understands that like black men, right? And so he made a post that talked about, until you're black in America, you won't understand what it is to be black in America. And, like I said, Alvin Kamara, for example, his mom was a, illegal alien in America. He was a very talented running back. He went to the University of Alabama, but that was the same time that Derrick Henry and the other running backs was there, and he had to leave Alabama and go to a junior college and then go to Tennessee, and then worked his butt off to get with the New Orleans Saints and be one of the best, dual threat running backs in the league. And while he's making this post, this particular guy named Jason Peron, right? He ended up saying, and you guys can see this, he said, well, go back to Africa then, all right? And that was his response. Now, what Alvin Kamara says right after that is pretty smart, right? And then he says, the gag is, I would have been in Africa if Corona ain't hit. Y'all tell Jason I got a first-class ticket for him in Liberia with me next off-season. Now, what this person Erica does is, Mandeville, Louisiana wants us to go back to Africa. Black Americans, please share his information. Let's make sure we don't give Jason Peron of All-Star Termite and Pest Services a penny of our African-American dollars, right? Spread the word. So that's exactly what started happening, right? And so people started, retweeting it and 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 retweeting it. And then we have, basically dating music. This is what he said after a while. By the way, if you're wondering, that was dumb nephew that said that. I have black family members. I am not a racist. I love you all. I'm sorry for my nephew's remarks. If you have any questions about me, just look through my Facebook page. Thanks and God bless. So then the Erica chick goes, Jason Peron, thanks for clarification. We all have family members that we're not proud of. I'll retract my comments. Thanks for speaking up. And then he goes, he says this, absolutely, thank you so much. Stay safe through all of this, right? So the question is, and now I don't know if this is the person, right? But the question is, do you believe him? Number one, how many people would you allow to have your phone, all right, and with the phone retweet something like this? Like, how, I mean, how many people do that, all right? I don't know if he's on the computer or on the phone, but it seems from certain people that he's trying to save face. I don't know what's going on there, right? But you know, like I said, if he didn't do it, you know, shout out to him. If he did do it, then, you know, he needs to own up to it. But I do want to get to the bigger photo, and I'm not really going to deal with whether he meant it or not, because, you know, he's saying he didn't say it and all of that, and you know how YouTube can be funny about all of these things. The question is that, or the position is that there are some people out there that are not black that really feel like you should stop complaining about what goes on in America and go back to Africa. Because he says he's from Liberia, and if you don't like what's going on here, leave. Now, that's not just a position that some white people would have. That's actually a pro-black position. Let me go back to Amin Ra, okay? Amin Ra was living in Mombasa, Kenya. He died, I think, in March. He was an African American that I did a few shows with, about 3 or 4, right? And you guys can remember the shows that me and Amin Ra did, all right? And like, he's been dead for about 3 months. Amin Ra had the same position as whoever wrote this comment. And Amin Ra's position was this: why are you wasting your time complaining in America about how tough it is when you can just go back to Africa? Like, they want you to go back to Africa, so why don't you just help them? Go back to Africa and develop things for the continent. You don't have to figure out racism. You don't have to get through all these liberal policies. You don't have to worry about your children being, you know, being attacked by the left. Why not do that? And you know what? That's not a position that just people that don't like blacks have. That is a position that a lot of people in the Pan-African community have. A lot of people, believe it or not, whether they want to admit it or not, there are a lot of blacks who are saying, you know what? I'm gonna work my job. I'm gonna save my money. I'm gonna do the, you know, do the proper research. And after I retire, I'm done. Shout out to Marcus Love. He talks about it all the time. I'm done with America. You know, a lot of black people are starting to wake up and say, we keep complaining and nothing is changing. I'm tired of being at the bottom of society. I'm gonna try my hand in Africa. And do you know what? Speaking of Liberia, this is something that's not a new concept, because you had the American Colonization Society many years ago that happened with pushing blacks back to Africa. And this is not nothing new. It was founded by Robert Finley and people like Francis Scott Key, who wrote the national anthem, and former President Monroe. And what this was is that, because, you know, you had all these slave rebellions that were going on, especially the one in Haiti, African Americans who felt that they were free and that had skill sets, what whites did was they organized situations to say, hey, listen, if you want to go back to Africa, you can. And a lot of slaves or former slaves at that time felt, I will never be free in America. You know, there's no use for me sitting here and complaining about it. I would rather go back to Africa. Now, let me just say this. There are some people also in the black community, you know, like Alvin Kamara. Obviously, he plays the NFL. He plays running back. I mean, he's making millions of dollars. Obviously, he can't make millions of dollars playing, you know, NFL football in America, right? Or in Africa. We understand that. There are some people who feel like that we need to fight. This is our country just as anybody else's country. And you know, I see positive on both sides. But let me kind of get back to the guy who supposedly didn't say this. People are showing how stupid they are. Whether it's his nephew or him. In a time like this, how can you say something like that? Number one, if the guy said it, he's done. Number two, if your nephew said it and got on your phone and said it, or got on your computer and said it, he don't even like you. Because he gonna cause you to lose your business, he gonna cause you to, so if for any person to say anything like this right now that's not black, you must try to go bankrupt or something, right? But just to understand this, that, you know, there are some people that would be happy if blacks just left and went back to Africa. And there are some blacks that are gonna go back to Africa, not to just visit, but are looking to move because they're tired of people like the one who posted this comment or responded to this comment, either him or his nephew. So in either way, number one, I do thank you for listening to the video. Let me know what your thoughts is on this. I really, really appreciate this. Subscribe, hit the bell. It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Check out the first comment pinned to the top. That's my Patreon that's there. You can check out the Black Men Are Perfect t-shirts. Make sure that you subscribe to Patreon, right? I am uploading quite regularly on Patreon these days. Patreon only content, right? So, you know, you want to make sure that you catch all of that on Patreon. I'm putting the Thirst Box back on there. The Hit the Wall series is going to Patreon only. So guys, thank you for supporting me. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Take care. Peace.